Namaste. So this foundational practice of meditating on emptiness is a beautiful meditation, one of the most powerful meditations that I know, if you're ready for it. This is not a beginning meditation. Please don't explore this until you've practiced other techniques that you can learn on this website. Especially practice the techniques of toning the energetic body, the basic meditations in Effortless Mind levels 1 and 2. And then, if you want to explore this meditation, you'll be ripe to do so. So, the meditation on emptiness creates tremendous coherence in the brainwave functioning. Again, if you're ready for it, it's so powerful. In the Yoga Sutras, I think it's the second verse, Patanjali says that yoga, or union with the self, right? Union with that divine infinite consciousness that is your very essence, is the suppression of the modifications of the mind. Now that means that all thought, all modifications, any sense of self, any sense of anything whatsoever, is suppressed. And when all modifications of the mind are suppressed, then consciousness just abides in itself. The self abides in itself. And that is yoga. Okay, so it's very simple, actually. But how do you suppress the modifications of the mind? We know from the instruction that I give on this site that you can't do so by force, because force itself is going to agitate the mind even more. So it has to be a very delicate technique. And that's why to do this practice effectively, you need some good experience, level of experience in your meditation. And then you become capable of this very delicate process of suppressing the modifications of the mind directly, resulting in yoga, which results in activating the brain in a very powerful way. A way that causes total brain coherence, a coherent kind of functioning. And you can actually feel this. I'm not kidding, you'll feel it. So I came to this meditation only in the last few years myself. And it's become the foundation of my practice. It permeates all the other techniques that I do. And I'm going to create a whole section on this membership site in Ananda that brings this experience of emptiness as a foundation for all the other techniques. And it just takes meditation to a whole different level. But first, we need to explore just this simple practice on this page, which is the foundational meditation on emptiness. It's interesting, the story of how this came to me. After many years of meditation, of course, you gain a kind of purity in your nervous system and your subtle body, such that pure consciousness, which is the very core of yourself, it is the essence of yourself, begins to shine through more and more. And as that happens, because pure consciousness is the source of everything, it's the home of all knowledge. All knowledge springs from pure consciousness. All knowledge abides in pure consciousness. Furthermore, pure consciousness is Ananda, Sat Chit Ananda, the Upanishads call it. So it is bliss consciousness. So as that purity of the nervous system and subtle body develops, and you reflect that value of your essence more and more, pure consciousness, you experience a sense of all-knowingness, of tremendous felicity, of tremendous well-being and bliss. You can feel it in your body. It's just wonderful. And Patanjali, of course, talks about this in the Yoga Sutras as well. And he mentions one very interesting thing, that you can become attached to this purity, this sattva, bodhisattva, the purity of the intellect, the purity of that subtlest aspect of your mind, intellect, buddhi, reflecting that bliss and knowledge of pure consciousness, it can cause a kind of attachment to that. Because we all want happiness, and this is the pinnacle of happiness, right? It's the pinnacle of the ego bathing in knowledge and bliss, and so it seems like fulfillment, a kind of fulfillment. But it's not enlightenment, because the ego is still there. It's attached to this experience. So that bodhisattva. So you need to relinquish that attachment to bodhisattva in order for the self to truly abide in itself. And that is the state of liberation. So again, Patanjali talks about this a little bit in the 3rd chapter and the 4th chapter. I like to cite Patanjali because everybody recognizes him as an authority on self-realization, on yoga, in the highest sense of the term yoga. That's why I cite that. But hopefully it all makes sense even if you don't know the Yoga Sutras. So I was noticing this attachment in myself. And after years of experiencing this attachment and kind of being stuck there, basically, I reached a kind of disgust with that attachment. And in contemplating it, an analogy came to me. And that is this. Consciousness is the ocean, an ocean of consciousness, unbounded consciousness. And individuality, the ego, is like a wave on that ocean. Now, wanting this, being attached to this knowingness, this sense of all-knowingness, this sense of tremendous bliss, sense of spiritual power, of Shakti, is like wanting to be a big wave on that ocean. You want to be bigger and bigger and bigger. You want to have more knowledge, more bliss, more Shakti, more power like that. And it's like becoming a bigger and bigger wave. And so I thought, but what is a wave, any wave, no matter how big, compared to the ocean itself? Even the hugest tsunami is absolutely insignificant compared to the ocean itself, that huge expanse of the ocean, right? So I realized, do you want to be a wave? Or do you want to be the ocean itself? And with this question that came in meditation, I found that wave of the experiencer, that wave of my ego, of my individuality, that was sort of savoring that experience of all-knowingness and of bliss, began to subside. How does a wave become the ocean? It becomes the ocean by subsiding, by disappearing, and then it merges in the ocean. So that is how a wave becomes the ocean, and that's what happened in this meditation. So the wave of individuality, through that detachment, which had to come only after some years of getting fed up with this attachment, looking at it from different ways. When you're still an ego attached to this spiritual experience that comes through purity, then you're still subject to all the human frailties and faults because you have an ego, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with having an ego. That's fine. But as long as you are bound by that ego, as long as you're not free, established in the nature of being that ocean of consciousness, unbounded, infinite, that's freedom. As long as you're restricted to that wave, then you're subject to all the problems that come with egotism. Because the ego will always want its own happiness, and it can't be completely selfless. So there's something that this merging of the wave with the ocean is absolutely essential for self-realization, and that's why it's such a powerful meditation, because it can start to happen in your meditation, even before it happens in the totality of your experience on this earth, which would be full self-realization, full enlightenment. So it's like one of my teachers, Amachi, says something very interesting. It's a very simple saying, but it's very profound. She says, to be a hero, you first must be a zero. So that's what this is. You want to become a zero in order to become a hero. If you want to be a hero, you have to become a zero. There's no way. Otherwise, you're always stuck in just being a 1 or a 2 or a 3. You can't become the infinite. Zero is infinity. It's emptiness. No boundaries. Unbounded. Infinite. So that's the story of this, and it's a profound meditation that I have wanted to share with others for a long time, and I've shared it on retreats, and I'm very happy to be bringing it now to this membership site. So I hope you enjoy it. But please, again, make sure that you're ready for it by practicing Effortless Mind levels 1 and 2 and the various techniques for toning the energetic body. Namaste.